I think it would be a powerful thing if every player in every program had an identity statement, an I am statement. And this comes from this concept of having a commitment-based culture. Most teams and most people operate under a performance-based culture, a culture being a way that we interact with each other, which is how Micah performs or what he does will determine how I relate to him. So if Micah, shows up late to practice, I'm gonna relate to him as lazy. If Kip doesn't touch the lines, I'm gonna relate to him as, like not a winner. If, Claire misses a bunch of shots, I'm gonna relate to her as, a bad shooter, whatever. Performance-based culture. And performance-based culture, because we're all, less than perfect. We're all making mistakes all the time. Performance-based culture leads to writing your teammates off. It's like that person sucks, that person's lazy, that person's a cheater, that person's mean, that person's a liar, whatever, because we all mess up. And the opposite of performance-based culture, which leads to fracturing and gaps and whatnot, is what's called a commitment-based culture. And a commitment-based culture, it's really tough. It's where we choose to relate to each other based on our commitments or our identity statements, as opposed to how we show up. And so that way, if, Stevie, doesn't show up on time to practice, even though in his commitment or his identity statement, he said, I'm on time, I'm punctual, then I say, hey, and instead of just writing Stevie off and not talking and be like, he's lazy, he's a liar, I go to Stevie and say, hey man, I know you're committed to being on time. What can I do to help you be on time next practice? It tends to bring people together as opposed to set them apart. If players and coaches don't have an identity statement, then they've never actually thought about what they're committed to. And if I don't tell my teammates what I'm committed to, there's no way they can keep me accountable to my commitments. It's also a lot easier to coach, right? Like if Dante, my starting point guard, has an identity statement that says, I am coachable and give maximum effort. Well, then I can go up to Dante and say, Dante, I know you're committed to being coachable. Today, man, I didn't feel like you lived up to that commitment. And so I'm not telling him that I didn't think he was coachable. I'm holding him accountable to what he said he wants. I'm like, hey, Dante, like, are you willing to recommit to that tomorrow in this way? And Dante's like, yeah, man. As opposed to me just coming down, I'm saying, do it because I said so. I'm just helping you out. I'm helping you be the player, the person that you are committed to becoming. And so if players have never even thought about that, I'm offering this up as like a first opportunity for them to think about that. Like, what's your identity statement? Who are you committed to being, right? Like, we're not human doing, we're human beings. Like, who are you committed to being for yourself? Not just for this team, but like for yourself. Who are you committed to being over the next year? And let them start. And if they start, then we can coach them into some language things. We can coach them into, narrowing their focus. But at least then we know what they're committed to. But if we don't even have anything on paper, if they've never thought about it, where do you start? So that's what this really is. And I would encourage you to ask your coaches to do that too, and you to write one as a coach as well, and to go first. So like your next team meeting or whatnot, here's my identity statement. I'm committed to coaching with the heart of a servant. I'm committed to showing up with energy and excitement every single day. I'm committed to asking questions. Please hold me accountable. Going first and being vulnerable. So that's what that is. And of course, they're going to start with one or two sentences, but hopefully it's something you can build over time. But I think that's a powerful way to start building your collective culture for the next season. So then I think it's good to gather this stuff. So this part of identity as well, like, right, this role is looking forward. One of the things in all the SAVI systems, we're really big on defining roles on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and that aids in player development. And so what role do you see yourself growing into next season? This is their chance to put it down, right? Like, I'm gonna be a lock. I want to be a racker. I want to be a wolf, tiger, bear, whatever, gap, deny, whatever. What role are you committed to doing the work to become, right? So that's them. And then what do they see? It's great to kind of pull the group. What do they see as the team's identity next season? Like, what makes us special? What should our team identity be? I've found teams that each season have like a special thing, like the Celtics, the Dark River Celtics had Ubuntu. Like, each team has like an identity for a season. It's like, hey, we're going to stretch into this thing for this season. And this would be a time to kind of crowdsource that. At the end of the day, everything that happens in your program is your responsibility. That's it as a coach. That's a hard truth, no chaser, everything. And any excuse we make to convince ourselves otherwise keeps us from getting better. Radical ownership is the only way to growing as a leader. And so this debrief should inform you as a leader more than anything else. Yeah, it's going to help your players, but it should inform you. One of my favorite quotes is this about leadership. Why ask everyone else on your team to change when a small change in yourself can make it go better for everybody?